in the meeting. I had the paperwork at home. I'll bring it to you.
This is Jessica on 106.5 FM Forward Radio,
Yeah, please.
WFPL.
And look, this is why we say we need you with
You
the
ready?
phones. I'm coming back in here real quick.
You ready?
Now start doing what you just did.
Yeah, I can tell.
You ready?
Like,
Ready? It's 1 o'clock.
no, I'm saying like when you do it when you're on the air, it all comes through. Look here.
Can be gracefully resolved through our history, culture, and society. You can catch us on Mondays at 5 p.m., Tuesdays at 8 a.m., and Wednesdays at 6 a.m. We hope you'll give us a listen. We think you're going to be pleasantly surprised about what you will learn about solving conflict without violence.
It's 1 o'clock.
After
Our
this.
temp is now 48 degrees.
Good afternoon, people. You are now tuned in to Urban Voices Radio. I'm your host, Brad Harrison, that wants all the smoke today. And I got my man Sean Mucker.
Fire now.
I got my man Sean Mucker in the building, and we got my girl T Marie.
What's up?
What's going on?
What's going down, people? What's going down? Look, we're gonna dive right into the topic at hand. We're gonna dive right into what's been hot this week. And for those that don't know, or those that have been following, the R. Kelly docuseries was, I think it premiered Thursday?
Yes.
So the first day the R. Kelly docuseries premiered was this past Thursday. For those who haven't been following, for those that haven't watched, or those that have lived under a rock for the past couple days, there's an R. Kelly docuseries out called Surviving R. Kelly. For those that don't know who R. Kelly is an R&B singer. He's a platinum R&B singer, 25 years experience in the game. And over the past 25 years, R. Kelly's career has been plagued with sexual assault allegations from him allegedly dating underage teens. So this docuseries comes out, and and let me give you a heads up on this. I have not watched the docuseries. I've read a book, and I followed some of the updates of the docuseries.
Yeah, Facebook.
Via articles and Facebook or whatever. And I haven't actually watched the docuseries yet. But I've been following the context of the docuseries. So the series, T, you've been watching it. The series is basically a documentary with maybe 50 different people being interviewed that have relationships or experience or interactions with R. Kelly over the past 25 years. And the premise of the film is to highlight what is alleged to be his predatory behavior when it comes to underage girls and him allegedly dating them and assaulting them, correct?
Correct.
So throughout this docuseries, we're on day number 3 today. So it's a 3-part series.
Today's the last day.
Today's the last day. 2 hours each day, right?
Yes.
So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 2 days each. And there have been several women that have given accounts of being sexually assaulted or abused or held in sex cults by R. Kelly, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So let me get into some of the controversy that I caused this week when it relates to R. Kelly, right? And let me say this. This was when I'm on social media, it was I didn't know, I wasn't aware of these things till Tiandra started tagging me in several posts, right? Because my followers and my viewers pretty much understood what I was saying. It was followers from, I didn't even see these things. There were followers from other pages that maybe misconstrued a message I put out there or didn't understand, right? So I'm here to clarify. But it was one of the more popular posts I put out. On an average, maybe, I'm not a person that's followed hugely, but an average post is popular, may get, 100 likes, some shares or whatever. This one was close to 300 likes and a lot of love on it. And then at the end, there was some, I think there were like some activists or someone from the feminist community that took an issue with some of the context of the quote. And the quote I put out was, does anyone have it up?
No.
No.
Can someone pull because I want to be specific about the quote itself.
Okay, hold on.
So I posted a quote, and I think the quote said, you have it?
Just keep talking.
I posted a quote, and the quote was dealing with R. Kelly and his predatory behavior, and the quote was also dealing with the context in which R. Kelly becomes a predator. Because let's be clear, when it comes to sexual assault, That's a huge umbrella. And then there's different there's
Okay, I get it.
okay, there's different aspects that fall under that umbrella. So the quote was, you want to read the quote, T?
It says, use R. Kelly as a teachable moment. Change the culture of young girls trying to grow up too fast and stop ignoring statutory rapists.
Right. So let me read it over here for my people. So the quote that I put up was, use R. Kelly as a teachable moment. Change the culture of young girls trying to grow up too fast and stop ignoring statutory rapists. I'm assuming that with some people, when I said change the culture of young girls trying to grow up too fast, that lit a fire in some people. And some people misconstrued that as victim shaming. So I'm here to explain that particular situation, or what I meant by that in clarity. There's different types of sexual predators that prey on young women. There's the type of sexual predator that you may be living in a household and there's young girls in the house and he may creep into the room and physically assault young 5, 10, 11-year-olds. And there's other ones, which R. Kelly is. He's the type of predator that he preys on young women that think they want to date older men. That's particularly been the context of this docuseries. So all the women in this docuseries are now in their 30s or 40s, or some are in their late 20s, but most in their 30s and 40s. And a lot of these allegations are from 20 years ago. So all of these women I've seen in the docuseries were saying that when they were 16 or 17, they thought they wanted to date older men. They thought they wanted to date an R. Kelly or an older guy, whether it be for prestige, for power, or because they were in a small subculture that was, I don't date young guys, I date older guys. And we've all seen that in our community. We've grown up with people in high school that girls in high school were like, I date college guys, I don't date guys my age. And that's not the vast amount of people, but that subculture does exist. So when it comes to R. Kelly, you have, Omar says on my live says women are starstruck. I agree. So there's a culture of these women that exists. R. Kelly is the guy that, with these women that want to date older men, those are the women that he preys on. So when all these women now, they're in their 30s and 40s, they totally regret dating R. Kelly then, but at that particular age, they thought they wanted to date an older man. Now, a 16-year-old girl at that time thinks they want to date an older man, but is not. These women in particular were not prepared for the sexual, mental, and physical abuse that took place once they entered that world. So they're thinking, oh my God, I met an older guy. Older guy's attracted to me. I'm in this glamorous world. I'm around this rich guy or star with all this money. And they have an idea what they think this is going to be. Then they get in that world. And of course, an older guy, especially someone that is a predator, has a total different mindset than them. It starts off as being friendly. It starts off as being charismatic. It starts off as being loving and caring. And then it started to become, he was turning these girls out. He was bringing other women in to sometimes bring these women into lesbian situations, bringing them to threesomes. He was overpowering with this mental manipulation where they were then doing things. They were in a world that they were not prepared for. Now, when I made the statement saying that we need to change the culture, I'm speaking specifically about the R. Kelly situation. The guys that date girls that think they want to date older men. When I was younger, and it exists now, I think some people live in a bubble and don't think this exists. There are young girls out there now that are 16 and 17 years old. There are young girls that are 16 or 17 years old. There are girls that go to nightclubs that have fake IDs. There are girls in high school that feel, I only want to date older guys. There are girls that are allured. There are girls that seek out the older men. Now, am I excusing the older men? Am I excusing the older men for acting? No. I think these older men that mess with younger women should be held responsible, especially legally responsible. We're going to get into that a little bit later on. But yeah, I think these men are at fault. Should it be a situation that a lot of people are alleging that no matter what happens, even if these young girls want to date older guys and they're out there and they're pursuing these guys, that it's these guys' responsibility to say no and don't do it? I agree. That should happen in a perfect world. But guess what? We don't live in a perfect world. We don't live in that world. So a lot of people are saying that, well, we need to also work on men and change the culture of men that want to date younger women, right? I agree with that. But when we're talking about someone about like R. Kelly, we're not talking about the average guy that's like, oh, I want to date younger girls just because. There's some men out there like that. That there's nothing psychologically wrong. It's been a culture of dating younger girls. Well, when you're talking about someone like an R. Kelly, you're talking about someone that is a predator. When you're talking about predators, you're talking about people that are psychologically damaged or people that are mentally unstable or have a mental imbalance. If anyone knows about the medical side of child molesters, of rapists, of things like that, they're not acting out of, oh, well, society just says I can date young girls, I'm going to date them. No, they have a mental imbalance. That's why you see some go to prison, get out. They recommit the same crimes over and over because they're sick mentally. It's one of the hardest crimes. It's one of the hardest crimes or addictions to break because these people are sometimes mentally ill in the head.
So do you think that, they not being treated mentally also while they're incarcerated also?
Yes, and also I just think that's something that I don't think there's a cure. I don't think when you're a sexual predator or you're a child molester in the head, I think there's mentally something wrong with a lot of these people. And we see that in R. Kelly. And why I say that is because you have guys that may have been 2-3 years out of high school and still were dating girls in high school. And then as time went on, they ended up getting married or dating people their age, right? We've seen R. Kelly over a 25-year period consistently want to date younger women. What that tells you is that there is mentally something wrong with him where there is an attraction. You're not going to sit him down and say, this is something wrong to do. He went through a criminal trial. They didn't do it. He went through public humiliation.
But I think, that criminal trial made it worse. Made him worse.
Because he beat it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you see, have you watched the documentary?
No, I read the book.
Okay, so with that, on the documentary last night, after he beat the trial, there was a girl that was coming to his trial every day.
Okay.
At the time, I think she might have been 15 or 16. She said she was a freshman in high school. She was coming to the trial every day.
Right.
So even after he beat the trial and she was going there during the trial, he still reached out to her after. And, her thing was, this is R. Kelly calling me. It's exciting.
At that age with that star, it's a big deal. You know what I'm saying?
What kind of frustrates me is we don't like to give young people accountability and responsibility. And so I think that's where people also got upset with the post because it's like you said, they felt like you were victim shaming, but at the same time, it's like they want to put all of the accountability on the men. Do the men need to have the accountability? Absolutely, because they're supposed to be the more mature one in the situation. But at the same time, we have to say, young girl, you have to make sure you are making smart decisions. I was a 15-year-old girl. Was I perfect? No. Did I sneak out and do stuff that my mother didn't know about? Yeah, but I had to be smart in my decisions. I was never attracted to older guys.
See, my thing is, we know all the allegations and everything about R. Kelly, but you also gotta investigate the people around R. Kelly. It's bigger than just R. Kelly.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people not, it's a whole team, and it's a couple of parents that should be brought up on charges. Am I right or wrong?
Okay, look, for me, this isn't really about R. Kelly. R. Kelly is the face of what takes place in our community. That's why I think this discussion is important, right? So, Tiana, you just brought up the word accountability, right? I'm not even placing accountability on the young girls. I'm not placing blame or accountability on the young girls. My focus is prevention. That's my focus. My focus is preventing any young girls from experiencing sexual assault, whether they think they want to do it or not at a young age, because we all know that later on, most likely, they will regret it, right? So this is a situation. You have a sexual predator out there. You have someone out there like a R. Kelly. You can any man out there. You don't know who the sexual predators are. You don't know what someone's thinking in their mind. And guess what? You can't do anything about it until they actually sexually assault someone. You can't. So what I'm saying by change the culture is I'm saying that as a whole, to educate society or young people that, look, from a young age, when you get to a certain age, there may be an allure, there may be an attraction, there may be a cultural thing where you may want to date an older man or think you want to date an older man. Start educating these girls and preparing them for the type of situations that they will come across in life.
And as a parent, that's what you're supposed to do,
Right.
correct?
But my thing is bigger than a parent. That's why I said the culture in that post, right? Because all of us don't come. Whether we live in sometimes we live in this mindset that we think we live in a perfect world. Everyone isn't born to perfect parents. Some people are born to parents that are in prison. Some people are born to parents that are on drugs. Some people are born to parents that are alcoholics, right? So if it gets past the parents, yes, a parent should warn their kids about predators out there and who to date and who to pursue. But if it gets past the parent, in society, the culture should shame this type of activity, and that doesn't take place. We've all known, like I said, when we were in school, or people in college, that older guys date younger girls. People see it and be like, I wouldn't be the one dating that older guy, but nobody shames it. And I give you an example how shame is put in our community. When it comes to no snitching, parents can advise kids to snitch if they see a situation, but our culture has it where we think snitching is bad. But in our culture now, we don't put it out there that young girls dating older guys is just something as bad as snitching. And it doesn't exist. And people don't want to acknowledge that. And what I'm saying is that, yes, we need to hold these predators accountable, but I don't want these young girls to be out here thinking, well, hey, I want to date an older guy. And we say, well, don't teach them anything. Don't advise them who's out there. Just let them go, because you can't blame the young girls. And don't warn them. They fall into the hands of a predator, and then we go after the predator. And then we say, well, okay, just, now we got to put her in counseling. No, my thing is prevention. When I say change the culture, I'm not saying I'm blaming girls for wanting to be fast. No, I'm saying that it exists with males and females. You have young males out here that want to be grown before their time. You have young males that want to go to clubs, that want to sell drugs, that think they want to do adult things because they want to grow too fast. That exists with women as well. You have women out here, or young girls out here, that think they want this. We need to be, if their parents don't catch it, as a society, we need to see, hey, this girl's out here looking like she's dating a young, older guy or whatever. We need to be the second line of defense and have it as a culture in the community that this is not accepted. That was my point in the post. I don't know how people missed that point.
Well, because people don't read to comprehend.
But also, it's a lot of hurt people in this world. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And you know what I'm saying? It probably opens some flesh wounds.
It's good, right? But this is the thing. I'm about solutions, right? We can sit here all day and restate the problem. Men shouldn't be doing this. Men shouldn't be doing this. We know men should say, no, don't do this. We know men should not do it even if a girl brings it. But we also know that doesn't always happen. So if you have someone that is sick, someone that is mentally deranged, someone that is sick enough to want to date young girls, we have to teach our girls to stay away from these type of men, period. To stay away from them. So that's the situation that I wanted to put out there. It's not blaming young girls. It's not holding them accountable. It's society. We have not pushed. We got a lot of parents in our family that started dating a man they're married to now at 16 and he was 25 and they're married now. As a whole, in black, white, everyone's community, we haven't pushed the issue. Now let's go on to the next issue I have. America as a whole. I tell people all the time on social media, they fake care. And I mean it. I say it all the time. And what I mean by fake care is a hot topic will come across that'll pull someone's emotion, and they care about it emotionally when they read it or whatever, right? But I say they fake care because they don't do anything about it. All they do is type, cry, and share posts or whatever and do nothing about it. So I put up a post last night. And the post last night was the age of consent for all 50 states. It varies in all 50 states. But the age of consent in the United States begins at 16 and it goes to 18. In most states, more than half, 16 is the age of consent. In the state of Kentucky we live in now, 16 is the age of consent. A 16-year-old can legally have sex with someone over the age of 18 unless it's a caregiver, it's a teacher, it's someone in authority position, it's someone if you're in foster care. Otherwise, they can do it. In Indiana, it's 16. In New York, it's 17. California is one of the smart states. it's 18. In Illinois, where R. Kelly lives, it's 17. So what you're saying is that even at a particular age, if parents do their job and you get a kid that wants to rebel at 16 or I want to date an older guy or whatever, right? There is nothing legally that you can do if an older man is sleeping with a 16-year-old, because by law, it's legal. So when I say people fake care, I don't see anybody out here advocating to change the legislation. If you care so much, what's a social media post going to do? Get out here and challenge your lawmakers. And some people say, well, these laws are old. No, they're not. A lot of these laws have been revisited in the late 90s, early 2000s when they were dealing with statutory rape. We all remember when that was popular. A lot of these laws are no older than 20 years old. So all these people out here that are saying, well, men shouldn't be doing it, or you're shaming women or whatever. If you're an activist, if you care about it, get out here and petition your legislation. Petition your legislation. If the law says a 16-year-old can have sex in Kentucky with someone old, and it's not just Kentucky, it's a lot of states. Now, there are a few states like North Dakota and Alaska where they put law on their books where the age of consent is 16 with someone under 18. If it's over 18, it's a felony. It's a crime, right? But there's only 2 or 3 states that do that. That's why I say all the time, America is not serious about sexual assault. America is not. If America was serious about sexual assault, crimes towards women, crimes towards kids, these laws would not exist on the books. People have asked me all the time, well, why isn't R. Kelly? T asked me the other day, why isn't R. Kelly in jail? Because R. Kelly is methodical. After the situation where he went to trial with the 14-year-old, he's particular. He knows the law in the states that he picks up young girls in. These girls that you see on the docuseries, what are they saying? They're 16 and 17?
Yes.
17. So they're legal by law. They're legal. So we can't put him in jail. In Georgia, it's 16 years old. In Kentucky, it's 16 years old. So he can roam, not just him, men as a whole can roam the country and date women that think they want to date older guys. See, a rape situation is different if you just take it. But if a young girl is consenting, well, I said girls want to grow up too fast, thinking they want to date an older guy, it's legal in most of these states. So all the people that are angry because I brought this to attention, be angry enough to challenge your lawmakers to change the law. Because what incentive is there for a man that's a predator to stop dating? One person got on my post last night and said, well, if the law is there, it's still a moral obligation. At one point, slavery was legal as well, right? I agree, right? But when did slavery stop? When they changed the law. You got to change the law. You have to change it. Morally, do we think it's wrong for an adult, a 20-year-old, 25-year-old to date a 16? Yes. Yes. But if you do not change the law, this will continue. And if people are that mad, or if R. Kelly is the person that shined a light on what takes place, so be it.
I mean, it even got to the point where they were like, they can't believe you got daughters and, hope you teaching your daughters better. I have a daughter, and there's going to be things as a parent that I have to teach her. Now, once she gets out here and she's not, with me, I'm going to, hope that she makes the best decisions based on what I taught her.
And also, saying that the thing that I seen was, these young girls was flying on planes. They was doing, not blaming the young ladies. Never. But how do they get access to get,
Because let me tell you what I said earlier, right?
Right.
This is what predators do. This is what predators do. This is what abusers do, even with adults. We have men that marry certain women to abuse them or control or whatever. Part of being a predator is preying on people that come from situations that are vulnerable. Like R. Kelly, he's preying, or a lot of these girls you see that may think they want to date an older guy. These are girls that come from households where a parent might not be there. A parent might be a drug addict. The supervision is not there. A girl that has a strong support system or whatever, he's not going to be able to prey on them. They're preying on the weak. And you can say the parents, right? But the reality is everybody doesn't come from a household where they have great parents.
Also financially,
But look, no, because they even had one girl on there that came from a 2-parent household that was in a very stable home environment, and she still ended up.
Because we know some teenagers rebel.
No, but also you can't look at the fact that everybody's infatuated with fame. with the stars, with the entertainers. You know, everybody's infatuated with them.
Right,
You know what I'm saying?
but let me say this. Look, and there were some people on the post that were saying, "I hope you don't have daughters or whatever." Right? I'm gonna address that right now. I have 3 adult daughters. Right? My youngest adult daughter is 20 years old. My oldest daughter has a master's degree. My second daughter is in her 3rd year at TSU. My youngest daughter is in her 2nd year at U of L. None of my daughters that I know of have been involved with older men. None of my daughters even have steady boyfriends at the time now, been in a long-term or steady relationship, right? None of my daughters have children. I'm not shaming anyone that does. What I'm saying is that the approach I'm saying to change the culture is what I taught my daughters. From the time my daughters were young, I taught them. There are men out here that if you want to get into, don't get, they're going to be some of your friends that want to date older guys, that want to try to convince you to get an ID, want to convince you to go to Black Beach, want to convince you to hang out around these guys. And some people are going to make it seem like it's cool. I taught my daughters not to fall for those traps. So what I'm saying by change the culture is society is a beast out here. You have to send these girls out here with armor. If you just address and say, well, okay, only focus on the predator, right? And not educating the girls. You are sending these girls out here without armor, so when they bump into these situations that seem to be alluring or seem to be overwhelming or a great guy or charismatic or predatory or manipulative, they aren't going to know what to do. They aren't going to know what to do, and people may not like it. There are young girls out here that think they want to be older women. There's not. I'm not saying it's overwhelmingly all, but there is a group of that, and culture needs our culture needs to put something in place where that is deemed as bad as the no snitching movement. Everybody silent? I told you I want all the smoke today. I want all the smoke because look, part of the problem is when you ignore there's not a problem, or when you, and I think a lot of times, that's why I hate when people call me an activist, right? Because I'm not. I'm a media guy. Because I think a lot of times when you get into activism, there's always, your mindset is there's always a fight. There's always a battle. There's always a fight. So say you're passionate about women's rights. Say you're passionate about women's rights. And I get that, right? Sometimes you're so blinded that it's never the woman's fault. It's never the woman's fault of being raped or whatever, that your mind is set on if anyone brings up anything of culpability around a woman or something that could be done or whatever, that you're shaming it. And that's not the case. We have to, as everyone as a whole, we have to sit back and look at what all contributes to this problem. It's the same thing as, I use a metaphor. Why do people, Sean, I ask you, why do people buy guns legally?
Why do people buy guns legally?
Yeah, for most points.
Tell me. I mean, to protect their family.
Exactly, self-defense, right?
Right.
Right. So should we say, we don't need guns, period, because we should get on the robbers and the murderers and killers. They shouldn't be out here doing it. But we know people are. So you have to take measures to prevent, you have to be proactive. Is what I'm saying. You can't just say, well, men shouldn't prey on young girls and act like if you say that and push that culture, like people are not going to do it. Yes, you have to put that out there as well, but you also have to be logical and realize there are men out here that no matter what you do, what you say, that are sick, that are imbalanced, that can't control themselves, or some that just choose to do it, that will do it. So on the other side, you have to look at some girls that think they may want that, and change the culture where they don't know what they're doing at that age. They don't know what they're doing at that age, and make that culture despicable.
What's the activist that Umar always get into it with? Not to change the subject, and then Tariq. I looked at one of his. I see one of his Twitters, and he was saying like that. You know what I'm saying? It's a witch hunt. He said it was a witch hunt, and he said that the women that's involved is part of an agenda. You know what I'm saying?
Now I'll say I agree, right? I don't want to use the word witch hunt.
I'm not going to say witch hunt.
Right, but that's what he said.
Right. But, you know, at the same time, if you having something that has something to do with this case with R. Kelly, it's easy to make R. Kelly the face of this because he's been going through this for 25 years.
But I think he needs to be the face of it because I think if he wasn't, we wouldn't relate it to other people in our community, right? And the fact that he hasn't changed his behavior over 25 years at all. He hasn't changed his behavior. And what else is damning is that people don't want to admit that there's a certain lifestyle that takes place. Say you come from a suburban community, well off, and your kids are in good school. I had a woman on my post yesterday tell me, not on my post, on her post, that I have a 17-year-old son. I know for a fact my son has never lied to me. And I'm like, that's part of the problem. She was adamant.
Man, because I know my son is 10 and he lies.
She was adamant, right? And look, what's crazy is that, let me tell you something. If you read all the comments, there were a lot of supportive comments, and the ones that weren't, right? None of them were from men. Every last one of the comments that were negative were from a female outside of one guy that he didn't put it on my post. He shared it somewhere else, but on my page, I'm like, we're getting in a situation where I get it. Females relate with other females, so that females want to feel like it's never a woman's fault. I'm not saying it's a woman's fault. I'm saying it's society's fault for not educating women or not pushing a culture that this type of activity, even wanting to date. Look, Tiandra, let me go back to this, how it started, right? Let me see. I'll let you read it just one second. Tiandra asked me to read a book back in October. This is way before the docuseries came out. The book was called Sex Me, Daddy's Little Girl.
Well, I thought it was it might have been.
No, that's the movie. But the book was called Sex Me.
Okay.
So the book was called Sex Me. This was a book about a young lady that claims she dated R. Kelly at 16 years old and went through all this sexual abuse throughout the situation, right? When I opened the book and read it, this before I even dived into it, right? It didn't blow my mind because I come from the hood, so I seen the situation. This 16-year-old girl, Kelly didn't know who she was. This 16-year-old girl made it her life mission to meet R. Kelly. So she was methodical at 16 from writing in her book. She bought a certain outfit. She knew what day he was coming in town. She brought tickets to his show. She brought front row tickets when he was there. She knew where he hung out at. She followed every move, and she wanted to make eye contact with him because her lifelong goal was to sleep with R. Kelly at 16. And this is what I'm telling people, that we need to change that culture because women like out there exist. So she went to this concert, her and her best friend. They made eye contact with R. Kelly on stage. After that, one of his bodyguards came over and they exchanged numbers. She played a little game for a couple days about, I'm going to call you back, don't call me back. There was a little
I thought after the show they had a like after party.
But she didn't.
Yes, she did.
Yeah,
she went to the after
but
party.
she didn't leave with him.
Right.
She played coy.
She played coy. So she went through this game of getting with him, right? And yes, no, R. Kelly shouldn't have went and done this. But she pursued R. Kelly, and then after she got in this situation and they started having a relationship, the manipulation came out. The predator, she got into a situation that she was not ready for as a 16-year-old, and he was introducing her to other women, turning her out, making women to have sex with her to please him, and then it turned into a sex cult thing. And that's what I'm saying. We have to fight the cult. The girls like her that think they want to meet him. It wasn't shameful to her friends. It wasn't shameful to the people at the party. It wasn't shameful to the after hours people. It wasn't shameful in our culture that we know young girls sometimes want to date older guys, and that needs to be the culture.
Also, she was lying to her grandparents. She was lying, she was lying to everybody.
Yeah.
She fought over him.
Yeah.
And she done left him a couple of times and went back to him.
Right. So R. Kelly is a bigger conversation, and why people are so up in arms about it. Not just R. Kelly, because we all know we all know in our community, we know R. Kelly's.
Well, here, because I told you that I didn't agree with the post, but and you told me after today I would change my mind. So I listened and I read the post several times, and then I started to get it because I started to read to comprehend. My issue became, and this is even before the document even aired, just upon reading stuff about R. Kelly. I made a post the other day, so are we going to protect black women in 2019? A couple people thought it was funny. I didn't really post it for it to be humorous. I'm asking, because I feel like as black women in this country, we're on the bottom of the totem pole. Everybody started sharing the quote by Malcolm X, the black woman's the least protected, respected, and all of that good junk. And so I started to see this rift, this divide on social media, because you had people that were like, R. Kelly didn't do it, these women are lying, even if he did it, I'ma still listen to his music. And internally I had an issue with that, because it's just like, people don't want to believe these women, oh, why they trying to tear the black man down? And it's just like these black women who were coming out against him, obviously their word wasn't good enough. People asking, well, why isn't R. Kelly in jail if he did all these things? Because his victims are black women. Nobody is paying attention to black women. Nobody is taking black women's suffrage seriously. So it's just like, okay, well, whatever. And that was just really disturbing to me, because it's just like, when I asked the question, are y'all going to protect black women in 2019? And people were like, you know, some people were like, nah, it's not going to happen. It's, you know, it was a couple people down there who was like, oh, most definitely. It's just like, when are black women going to have a chance to be protected, believed? And it's not going to happen. One of the things, let me tell you this. So I'm watching last night, and they were talking about the trial. So they interviewed one of the jurors that was on the trial. This man said he did not believe the women that were testifying because he didn't like the way that they looked. So he's basically saying he didn't like the way any of these black women looked, so they weren't believable, and that's part of the reason why they weren't convicted. They didn't convict them.
But you know, it's the same systematic racism and discrimination that goes on with the justice system.
And not even just that, money, right?
Right.
Because look, the trial was about Sparkle's niece, right? And it's hard, huh?
Yeah, I was just saying. Yeah.
Look, it's hard to convict a man. We saw the tape. We saw the young girl get peed on, right? The girl took the stand, and throughout the time, her and her parents said, "That's not my daughter."
Right.
But what's crazy is
her father was in his band.
Her brother.
Yeah,
her brother was still in the band.
Right. Because he the one that got on the stand is like, that's not my niece.
Okay.
Marshall looked at the tape and said that was her niece. Her basketball coach got on the stand and said, that's his player. The girl's best friend said that was her. And so to me, I'm just like, R. Kelly had them, you know, in his
pocket. Yeah. Because you have a man that has vast resources, and you have a man that was able to, I assume, allegedly paid off the victim and her parents who say that wasn't her, and you have the victim saying, "That's not me. That's not me." That's hard to convict a man when the victim is saying.
Somebody even made up a good point yesterday. They were like, I wouldn't be surprised if she's still dealing with R. Kelly.
See, and I was thinking that too, because I think I read somewhere that R. Kelly introduced one of the girls to her. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how true it is, but I read that also.
I mean, he still might be paying them off.
Right. I mean, but
you can't Google and find this girl.
Yeah, you can. I got pictures.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, since this series been coming out, they done made.
But she's not one of the people speaking out.
Right.
No, not at all.
The 14-year-old.
I mean, but see, that's why I feel like
she's a pretty girl.
I mean, but that's why I feel like, okay, this is not just R. Kelly. This is the people that's around, the parents, the managers, the dancers, everybody who's been associated with a part of his act, also should face these allegations also.
Right. But there's no allegations, right? Because in these states it's legal. The 14-year-old has already been acquitted. Can't do anything about it.
Right.
The 17-year-olds, it's legal in Illinois. That's why I'm telling people, if you care, fight to change legislation. What can you do if it's legal by law?
The system. And that's something that you hear me say over and over again. You know, yes, these crimes are being committed, but they're committed under a system that's already been established. If we want to change the things that's going on now, you got to change the system.
But you know why? You know why I believe the system exists that way? Because you have a lot of politicians, a lot of lawmakers that contribute to these acts as well. You have lawmakers, you have politicians that sleep with. We've seen them sleep with young boys. With young girls. You have a lot of lawmakers out here that don't want to pass that type of legislation because they have parties with young people in there as well.
Three colors exist. It's three colors that exist in this world.
Yeah.
Black, white, and green.
And the other issue was, you know, people, of course, going back to why we got to try to bring down the black man. Why ain't they doing this to Harvey Weinstein?
They are.
Kevin Spacey. But here's the thing. They are doing that. There's a documentary coming out on Harvey Weinstein at Sundance, I think.
Yep.
And like somebody mentioned on my Facebook, they said his is going to be an actual movie because he was in the movie industry. They're not going to put a documentary about Harvey Weinstein.
He's very powerful. See, but the thing about it, he's
TV show.
He's very.
But he's going to have his day.
Right, yeah. But he's very powerful. But he got to deflect everything that's been thrown at him here lately.
But look, But look, you have him going through it in the media. But see, this is the problem I tell people with me being in media, right? A lot of people, and this is black and white, because you have a lot of white people saying, "Who's R. Kelly?" They don't know, right? Because a lot of people tend to only consume media in their demographic. Right. A lot of black people only tend to look at black media. A lot of white people tend to only look at white media. That's just a natural thing. It's not a racism thing. But if you go to white media, Harvey Weinstein is in their media every day. Kevin Spacey is in their media every day. If you can't live your life in a bubble, you have to consume information from all different places, because your worldview can't be just consumed to the people to your own demographic. So that's a lot of situation. But what I want this to be bigger than R. Kelly.
It is bigger than R. Kelly.
I want this to be a conversation and a change in culture that in our community now, in everyone's community, in the country, that older men date younger girls, older women date younger men,
which is not frowned upon as much.
Look, and to change gears a second, right?
Yeah.
I brought up a valid point on another post of mine. I brought up a post that said that the other side of the coin is that many young boys have their first sexual experience with adult women, and that's why some of our adult relationships have problems, right? I had my first sexual experience at 8 years old.
See, but let's correct that, because nobody. Well, now they deem it as a problem. Back then, they didn't. It was celebrated.
I didn't deem it as a problem.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It was celebrated, because you hear people say, "Oh, when you turn a certain age, buddy, I'm gonna get this and this and this."
Well, because didn't your boy do that for his? Who was the rapper?
Boosie said it. But I don't know. Your boy's son, but you don't know how.
How true this? Well, look, but I'm saying at 8 years old, I had a babysitter. At 8 years old, my brother was 10. The babysitter was maybe senior in high school. Older babysitter. The babysitter performed oral sex on me and my daughter. They thought it was funny. Tied us up to a chair. We thought we loved it, right? I mean, I'm just saying that we thought we did. So at 8 years old, I didn't think I was traumatized. I thought I was. We thought we used to sneak in the room and find Playboy magazines on my father's bed. So we thought that was great. So as I became older, I didn't realize that having my first sexual experience that way could shape the way I view sex or women as a whole, subconsciously.
Also, let's look at Color Purple. Mm-hmm. Let's look at the movie Color Purple, where they was giving their younger girls to older men. Yeah. Y'all sell it. What you want to say? Sell them? Were they selling them? Or they? You know what I'm saying? It was like arranged marriage.
Right. That was legal back then.
Right. And Color Purple. I think how old was he? 12, 14.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is that as times evolve, laws evolve, and things change. Right. We have to update these laws and update our culture to adjust to the societal norms that we live in now.
And that's basically what it is. Because we still going off of slavery laws. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Laws, you know what I'm saying? And everything needs an upgrade. Just like we upgrade our cell phones, our computers, these laws need to be upgraded. These systems need to be upgraded. Because, it's only pertaining to one demographic of people. And y'all know that the world has changed in the last 20 years. Yeah, the law has changed in the last 20 years.
Right. So I'm reading some of these posts from Angela Marie and Valerie. Hey, look, Valerie's one of my favorite followers, right? Because Valerie will bring that heat to a person. Yeah, she does not bite her tongue. But what I like, I don't always agree with her. She don't always agree with me, right? But what I like about her is that she's educated on the subject she speaks about. So even if you're speaking from a different perspective, that she's educated on that, and she's cultured and she's traveled, and a lot of people are as well. So I don't mind the difference of opinion. It's crazy sometimes social media gets hectic because you can have a difference of opinion with people and then it turns into name calling and I don't like you and I'm not following you and I get cussed out all the time. So it doesn't even look when I get cussed out or someone brings something to me, for me, it makes me feel good because it makes me feel like I am pushing the envelope of uncomfortable conversations. If everything is hunky-dory, we're all kumbaya, we're not getting anywhere. And I understand
that's another thing. These conversations need to be had.
And I understand these are emotional conversations, and when I bring them up, people are going to get upset. And I'll try to address them as best I can until you just totally get totally disrespectful. I can't take it. Then I might say something back and block you. But other than that, I invite it, right? I invite it because I know I'm going to say things that from my experience, that people talk about in my circle, in my world, are things that exist that other people might not want to talk about or might not want to admit. And we have like I'll give an example that I brought up the other day. I said in black culture, I see why uncles touch little kids in black culture, because we that's the biggest kept secret in black culture of sexual molestation. A lot of people responded that that's a secret in every community. And I agree, it is, right? But in black community, if you talk to black people, we'll admit it. Oh, we know white people do it. If somebody gets molested, we'll say, oh, that's some white people stuff or whatever. We never want to admit that it happens in our community. We can point the finger and notice it in everyone else's community. But when it comes to ours, you're bringing down a black person. You're shaming the family. You're shaming the church. You're shaming whatever.
Everybody will tell you they got some messed up people in their family. Some will. You know, if they realize.
There's even been situations where you see, there was a video a couple weeks ago that somebody posted where this young girl had to secretly record her mother's boyfriend touching her.
Okay.
And I was like, I bet she felt like she had to record that because she's probably told her mother that he was doing that, and she didn't believe her daughter.
That, or she wanted to actually have proof before she presented it.
Right, which I hope that's what it was.
Right.
I'm saying I hope it wasn't that she tried to tell her mother, and her mother didn't believe her. So she's like taking drastic measures to be like, well, let me videotape it so she'll... Because most of the time when a daughter goes to their mother, the mother always... Well, I'm not going to say always. The mother tends to take the side of the boyfriend.
I mean, and I feel like, you know, and you know, and let's flip the script, because the same thing happened to little boys. And I'm gonna go a little bit deeper when it says, I mean, not taking nothing from women. Nothing, you know what I'm saying, because it's wrong, regardless of what sex. But, you know, because we're as men are taught not to say nothing. Or, you know what I'm saying, you bet not, are you not a man? Or, you know, not to show no emotions or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? It's wrong on both sides. It's completely wrong. So that's why the system, we need to do the system. Like you know, I mean, how can a person who sell dope get more time than, you know, see,
a child molester,
something like that? Come on, we need to fix that.
And at the end of the day, we have to. That happens when you have lack of economic wealth in your community. We have not, because we don't. Well, we have them, but we don't put them on pedestals. We have made celebrities, which most celebrities, look, the culture is sex, drugs, and rock and roll. That's entertainment culture. It always have been sex, drugs, and rock and roll. We are putting entertainment figures as our role models, or like there are Malcolm X's or our Martins. People are saying, don't take down a powerful black man. R. Kelly's an entertainer.
Well, he was taking down these women. There wasn't nobody concerned about that.
Right, but I'm saying we have gotten to a place where we almost worship entertainers in our community as the end-all, be-all. These people are the moral compasses. These people are the educators. These people are what we strive to be in our community. And at the end of the day, they're entertainers.
I had to unfollow some people. I didn't delete them. I just had to unfollow some people's posts because, I mean, like I said, it was just so disturbing to me that people were like, yeah, we've been knowing R. Kelly did this, and why y'all just now getting in a tizzy about it? I'm still going to listen to his music.
But that's your right.
I mean,
you're right.
Everybody has their opinion, but you got to understand.
It was just disturbing.
Right, it's disturbing, yes, but you got to understand, though, T, the same way. These people grew up 25 years of listening to his music. I mean, that's a long...
Some people have the ability to separate the music from him, right? You know, and I don't knock people that do that. Let's think about it.
You've been listening to his music since 1990, the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I personally get a different feeling now when I listen to it. So,
right.
but I don't knock people that don't. You know what I mean?
Because to me, all his songs now have totally different meanings. Because one thing they said in the documentary last night, they were like, or the first night was, all of his songs basically are talking about what he's doing.
Okay, now let's get into this. I'm glad you brought that up.
Let me say
Go ahead.
I mean, because because of his music, he do got inspirational music that's played. You know, I Believe I Can Fly was played at graduations.
It was played at the Olympics.
Right, world greatest. You know, Muhammad Ali was his soundtrack.
Okay, but let's say this. Look, a lot of people were upset. Aaliyah's mother came out and she made a statement where she said that everything about her daughter in the documentary was a lie. and that the women, there's a backup dancer, I guess, that was giving an account of her witnessing R. Kelly and Leah having sex on a tour bus when Leah was 15, and she denied that happened, and she said that she was with Aaliyah on every tour, at every concert, at every studio session per se, right? Or she may not say studio session, but she put it out there.
She was there, yeah.
Right. So my thing was this: a lot of people were saying that they thought that shouldn't be mentioned in a documentary. I disagree, and a lot of people didn't agree with that, right? And the reason I said it is because we always tell people they have a right to tell their truths. Their truths are what you witnessed, what you experienced, what you saw with your eyes, right? We all know that R. Kelly was attached to Aaliyah. We all know that R. Kelly married Aaliyah when she was 15 and had someone forge the birth certificate to say she was 18. We all know there was a annulment. We all assumed there was sex, right? But at the same time, we all knew R. Kelly wrote, arranged, and produced her music. And we all know Aaliyah put out an album when she was 16 called Age Ain't Nothing But a Number. We know that.
Well, they showed
we know that.
They showed a video of when her and R. Kelly went on one of the BET video shows back in the day. And, so they asked about her and R. Kelly's relationship. And she was like, oh, we just, best friends. She was like, this is my best friend. That should have been a red flag right there, because there ain't no way my 15, 16-year-old daughter is going to say that this grown man is her best friend.
Because they were complicit. They were complicit.
Yeah, well, they had to be, because it's just like, you just not great. Like, at that interview, did y'all not think at that time, okay, we need to get her away from
I just feel like, you know what I'm saying, yeah, we could blame R. Kelly, but you also got to blame the people around her, too. I feel like, it's more than one person other than R. Kelly that felt this stuff.
Well, his wife even said last night, she was like, for him to, because she said she didn't understand how R. Kelly was, his ex-wife was able to be married to her, to have all of these other women, to still be able to go on tour. She was like, he had a system. He had a team of people
that picked girls, that brought him back to the room, that helped him
accomplish this. And he did, because of his former assistant has been interviewed throughout the whole documentary. And I'm sitting there listening, I'm like, you just as responsible as R. Kelly, because you saw a lot of this stuff.
Where was his wife at?
For the longest, I didn't know R. Kelly was married until he went to trial.
I didn't either.
Right. I mean, I just want to say, where was she at?
But he got her when she was 17. But he got her.
She met him at 19 because she was a dancer.
I mean, so and these are 20 years worth of allegations. I called R. Kelly the Nino Brown of the music industry.
But he's not the only one.
No, I'm not saying. I'm just saying. He done been accused. He has never. And if they ever do, it's gonna be more than him that goes down.
Yeah.
Somebody commented, basically, we created that monster. We created the monster that is R. Kelly because we continue to support the music. We continue to go to
I looked at
concerts.
Instagram. The man still got 1.1 million followers. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people don't deem this is new information.
It's not new information, but it's time that we change culture. Even if it took us 20 years to decide that, or to really come to the realization that we need to change culture. Whenever you wake up, you need to wake up. You know what I mean? And right now, we need to wake up because, like I said, it's not just R. Kelly. He's a representation of what happens in all these communities.
He's the spokesperson for this.
This movement. He's the representation of what happens with a lot of people in our community every day. And we need to create a culture. And now there's starting to be a culture where people are turning against the things R. Kelly does, and that same culture needs to be exhibited.
Yeah, they got mute R. Kelly.
Yeah, but I mean, just people think, just now, you still have supporters, but you have people that are now publicly shunning that, right? We need that same sentiment in our community. We need the same sentiment when the dope dealer's dating the young girl, when the young girl's dating the older business exec, when the young, because now you have different aspects. These girls were coming to R. Kelly concerts to meet R. Kelly. Now your kids can sit at home on the internet. And jump in a site, and if they want to meet a guy or meet an older guy or do whatever they do. So for me, the thing is, educate these young girls on what to look out for, what to prepare themselves for, what not to want. And at the same time, we have to work on changing laws.
Because I work in 2 high schools, and like I told you, I see it all the time with the girls in the schools. You know, it's quite a few of them that be like, I have no desire to date these high school boys because they immature, they petty. I'm going to get me this grown man. I know one young lady that was actually a junior that was pregnant by somebody. I think he was like 24 or 25. And it was just like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Also, I forgot my train of thought.
But you do. But that's your experience in schools, right? Your experience in schools that
it still happens.
It still happens to this day.
For some girls, that's the goal, is to date older guys.
Right. So what I'm saying is that's what my post was about. Create a culture where those girls, that is shunned in our community. I think it's shunned to a certain extent, but not as much as it should be.
I mean, a lot of things that we talk about, and it has something to do with home. A lot of stuff that you learn has to be taught at home first. You know, and it's one of the things that my mother taught me is like, I'd rather you do certain things in my house and out on the street so I can teach you, educate you about that, instead of learning from somebody out on the street.
Right. Now, I agree with you wholeheartedly, right? I agree that's first, right? The only reason I'm asking for the community to create a culture is because everyone, unfortunately, doesn't come from a home where that is the reality. Everyone doesn't come from a home where they have sensible parents. Some parents are dating young people right now. You know, I'm just being real. Or some parents are on something else when they should be raising their kids. Or some parents are just not existing. Some are being raised by a granny that's too old to even know what's going on. So I'm like, even if it fails at home, I want society to have a culture where we still look at it, this is wrong.
And you know, and now, you know, saying social media is raising some kids.
Yeah.
You know, social media is creating a world full of followers.
Yeah.
We need more leaders, more educators. You know what I'm saying? We parents, we need to say that we need help or we need counseling. We need to be the ones who break whatever generational curses, our family curses that's going on families. We got to step up. Mm-hmm. You know, it's easy to blame Tom, Jerry, Bill, but we also got to blame ourselves because we not educating.
And it's also easy to cry without putting in the work. I'm a solution person. If all you're doing is talking and crying and I was gonna say, if talking and crying and creating a big ruckus about it, then what's the point? Like even say the R. Kelly documentary, right? If we watch R. Kelly and watch this film and everybody's in an outrage and everybody's going through this, but nobody's going to put in the work to change the culture of the community, to change the laws so that people are held responsible to change anything, what's the point?
Also, I mean, I'm curious. I really didn't want to speak on it because I wanted to wait until after the series over because it's a whole lot of people threatening lawsuits. It's a whole TMZ. Your boy said R. Kelly. They say he threatened a federal lawsuit against Mike.
He should have did the lawsuit when he knew it was
coming. And that happens every time.
I mean, right. So I'm
happens with TLC. Happens with all of them.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how everything unfolds after this.
One thing before we leave, one thing that I didn't know, because people are like, "Why y'all watching this documentary and y'all already knew?"
Because we want to.
Well, that for one. But there was a lot of stuff that came out in this documentary that I didn't follow, that I didn't know. This man had tons and tons and tons of lawsuits that he settled out of court.
I had to tell some. I knew that because I came out of the trial, and I had to tell somebody that on your post the other day when somebody was saying that this is why y'all crying now, and I said, look, he settled over 30 lawsuits going back to the 90s,
and it's different. And it's different now because people putting a visual to the allegation. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Nobody never seen the visual.
And I'm gonna watch it tonight.
Well, we know you've been on it. You've been on this for the last 6 months. So you've been on this brand.
Yep.
What she say? Y'all need to read that book about her.
And I had a great and Mikhail Baxter. She's also another one that has great. She had comment on my post last night that she said that and it's brave for someone to even admit that. And she was like, "Look, I come from a good home. When I was younger, I was attracted to older dudes. I dated older men, and my kid's father was 11 or 12 years older than me or whatever. And it was just, a lot of people don't think that happens, right? And there was someone else that follows me from Virginia. And she said, I'm a PK, a preacher's kid. And the age of consent in Virginia was 16, and my parents warned me against dating older guys, and I wish I would have listened then. I'm older now, and I didn't. And that's what I'm telling people, that it happens. It happens.
And you know the old saying, girls mature faster than boys.
But no, I want to put a motion out there that curves girls for even wanting that, because these predators are out here that are ready to receive that. So unfortunately, we can't get the predator after they acted. And then the girl, they act, and then the girl goes through all this trauma. We put them in jail. But I want to prevent a girl from even going through that in the first place. So that was the whole intent of the post, man. Look, we got to get out of here. It's been almost an hour, man. I'm glad we got a chance to clear this up. This is a greater conversation.
Surviving Bread's bread post. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I met with a young lady. Well, I met with a lady this morning. She wants to put together a conversation panel to further this conversation. She's bringing in some medical experts, some teens that have been through this situation that are now adults.
New legacy.
So
reach out to New Legacy.
Yeah. So I had a powerful meeting this morning. So I think we'll be doing that like next Saturday. I need to contact the Urban League, but we'll have a community forum set up real soon about this same conversation. So a lot of people think it's a conversation that needs to be addressed with people in our community, not about R. Kelly, but about what takes place in our community. So check us out, Urban Voices, every Saturday, every Monday, every Tuesday. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we out of here.
Still on right here, though.